Hi, I'm Gene McLaughlin. I'd like to welcome you to Old Bridge Outlook with Mayor Owen Henry. On this program, the mayor has an opportunity to chat with you about things taking place in the township and to introduce you to some people making things happen in the township. Mayor, hi, how you doing today?
How you doing, Gene? Good to be back.
Good. First of all, how's the baby doing?
Baby's doing well. I had a babysit for my first time the other day, and without notice, my wife said she's going for a bike ride, and my daughter said she's going to Target. So.
And you were left in charge of this little bundle, huh?
Thank God he slept the whole time.
that gave you a break.
I didn't have to change any diapers yet.
Okay, well, you'll get broken in, Mayor, I assure you.
Sure.
I assure you. Well, Mayor, I'm glad for that everything's working out there.
It is.
But in terms of the township, I notice have a little setback. 2 of the stores are closing. A&P is closing.
Yeah, we got a notification. I read it in the paper.
Yeah.
That the A&P on Ferry Road. It was closing, and the path mark up on Route 9
yes,
was closing. But we've been told that the A&P is going to another grocery store. There's going to be no, at the most, it'd be like a 3-day transition period.
Oh, really?
So there will be another grocery store in there. And then we've had a lot of interest in the Pathmark building. There's been people contacting the town to see what the permitted uses are in those buildings.
Right.
And there's also talk of another grocery store moving into that building. So we certainly didn't want to hear that news. And the loss of jobs is the biggest.
Jobs, right.
But hopefully, something good will come out of this.
Yeah, it just amazes me an iconic brand like A&P is going away slowly but surely from 3,000 stores
down
to
so much competition
300.
in the grocery business nowadays, and they're right next to each other, and it's difficult. It's very difficult.
Yeah, it's too bad that it leaves the field pretty much to ShopRite and Walmart, I guess, for groceries. Huh?
Yeah, well, we're hoping that some other competitors come into town.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I noticed last council meeting you swore in 4 new police officers, all of whom seem to be superbly qualified.
Yes, Gene, and that was a big part of the change in the ordinance for the alternate route. We've upped the standards here to be a police officer here in Old Bridge, and I read off the qualifications of everyone coming up to that.
Very impressive.
To get sworn in. I'm so proud of the 4 people. There was a lot of competition. 48 people applied for those positions, and and just as a highlight, Gene, I had the opportunity to hire 2 more.
Really?
Within the last couple of days now. So they'll be introduced at the next council meeting also. We'll be introducing 2 additional officers. So that's 6 officers within about a week's time getting sworn in here in Old Bridge. And that's historic, I believe.
Definite plus, I think so too.
When I became mayor, and I can't help but keep saying to everybody that there was not an officer sworn in since 2006.
I remember.
And when I came as mayor, our rookies have 5 years on the job. Right. That's no way to manage a police department. You need that constant people coming in at the bottom.
Right.
The officers, as opposed to everybody just keep moving up.
Right.
And we had it was a nightmare, Gene. You know that when I first became mayor with the police department. But all that pain that we went through now is obviously paying off. This will be the 10th officer I've sworn in as mayor.
Yes, sir.
And and my commitment was to continue to build the department up, and we are, and we're committed to that, and we will continue.
Okay, well, good, Mayor. Thank you. Mayor, if I can segue to another topic, which we've talked about here on the air, and that's some of the issues here in the township with drug abuse and substance abuse.
Yes, Gene. A lot of towns are going through what we're going through here in Old Bridge.
Right. And to that point, folks, I think we're delighted to have with us today our guest, Karen Tortorici. Many of you probably know Karen. She's the coordinator of the Old Bridge Municipal Alliance for the Prevention of Substance Abuse. And Karen, hi, how are you today?
Good, Gene.
Always great to have you with us. Karen, for the benefit of newcomers to the township, and we have many as we see the townships exploding, what about the Alliance? What is the Alliance? What's the mission? What do you do?
The Alliance is funded with yearly grant funds through the Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse. Here at the township also supports the grant with cash match to support the programs that we put forth in the township. And we have a volunteer committee, a very strong volunteer committee.
What is your mission? What are your goals? What do you try to do? I mean, in the title of your organization is Prevention of Substance Abuse. So I take that sets you up pretty well.
We actually have a format that the Governor's Council wants us to follow. They want us to go out there and get information and find out what our greatest needs are here in Old Bridge. So when I did that every 3 years, we're going out and we're accessing police reports, school surveys, school reports, going out there and finding out what the statistics really are, and finding out where we should put our greatest funding.
Right, and you just mentioned to me off the air that you just completed this needs assessment.
Yes,
what was
last
the
year.
greatest need? What emerged?
Our greatest need was the increase of prescription drug abuse here in town.
Really?
Yes.
And how bad a problem is that?
Well, what has happened is that through our school reports especially, the teens themselves, they're saying that the prescription drugs are easily accessible. So they're getting it from either their parents, their grandparents, friends' homes, and sometimes it's working out to be a gateway drug where they had never used before. They have this opportunity of using a prescription drug, and it's perceived by the teens as well as the parents and the grandparents that it's not as dangerous because it's prescribed. And that's a very, that's a bad way to look at it because they do get addicted to it very, very quickly.
Yeah, and you know, Mayor, that's an interesting point, the perception. And it seems, if anything, we're becoming a more drug-oriented society generally with prescription drugs.
We see it all the time, those big plastic containers with everybody's drugs in it they have to take for the week. And Gene, it's just exploded into an abuse. I mean, there's always been alcohol abuse in our country. There's always been drug abuse in our country. But now this alcohol and drug abuse has led to loss of life with the leading up into the use of heroin.
That's the key.
I'm sure Karen knows that.
Yeah, what with the heroin?
You know, when we had the town hall and we brought the experts in, I don't remember back in when the mayor sponsored our town hall, we brought an expert in to help us to understand why this has become what has become, and it's the opiate abuse. The opiates are firing off things in the brain that make you feel good, and it's very addictive. It becomes extremely addictive very, very quickly. And especially with children, like we talked about how when they get a sports injury, and sometimes the doctors are prescribing the opiates to them to help them with the pain, and they're very, very young, and their brain isn't even fully formed yet, and they're becoming addicted even quicker.
But isn't there an educational component here somewhere with the school or with the parents teaching them about the dangers, or with the physician?
And like we said before, it's the perception that it's not as dangerous.
Because it's prescribed.
Right, and we're trying to involve the medical community now. You know, there are bills out there where they're talking about at the legislative level to address the medical community, so they would have them sign off the parents if they're going to give their children a prescription drug that has opiates in it, that they understand how addictive they are. And that so the parent knows, let me just give it to them for 3 days while they need it and pull it away as quick as possible.
Mayor, I know you've been very involved in this. We've talked about this on the program many times since you've taken office, and I know you're continuing to support this whole effort. I noticed Karen had mentioned you're involved with the Elks. They're doing a program.
Yes, as the mayor, I need to get involved in all these.
Yes, sir.
So, Karen has the prevention and the education. We need to prevent the next generation of abusers. Then we have the enforcement with the police.
Yes.
And we are aggressive here in Old Bridge. I go out and I actively ask residents to contact me if they see problems in their neighborhood.
Really? Yeah.
I report that immediately to the police, and the police act on it. I get an email, Mayor, we've made an arrest. Mayor,
Really?
And the enforcement. And unfortunately, with the enforcement comes, a whole nother, life-changing for a person now who was involved in the drugs, and now he or she needs to get in the programs, get off the drugs, stay off the drugs, and that brings on a whole nother phase to the town. With the families who have to keep that addict straight. And there's so many success stories here in Old Bridge where people have been clean for 8, 10, 12 years. So it's like a three-phased approach that I have as mayor, and I will support any group or organization that helps us. We have the Young Recovering Addicts. We're going to be helping them next year. We're going to be sponsoring their comic night here in Old Bridge.
Right. Yes.
So I've been to events in other towns. I'll be leading a presentation down at the League of Municipalities this November about how towns, what we're doing, and how everything is changing. The education is changing, going to younger ages. The prevention is changing now. We need to get the parents involved. The enforcement aspect is changing all over the country. Police departments are handling it differently. And then the recovering and staying clean and getting people jobs. That's all changing too as we speak. It's just and it's too big of an issue and a problem for any municipality to handle on its own. We cannot fix this. Old Bridge cannot fix this on its own.
Yes, sir.
Because the border of Old Bridge goes to the next town, and it has to be a statewide, if not a nationally, effort here. I met personally with Congressman Pallone, and I told him how desperate we were here in Old Bridge and New Jersey. And 2 days later, I believe he signed some legislation that was sending funding. It was a drop in the bucket, but it is something to deal with the mental, with the mental illness and all the prescription drugs, and working with the doctors to stop writing these prescriptions for 30 days when they know that patient doesn't need 30 days.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mayor.
It's a big,
an ongoing problem. Keeps you busy, certainly, Karen.
Yes.
Karen, if I can just back up a little bit. You talked about prescription drugs being an issue. You have a little flyer here that talks about the danger zones in the home. You want to hold that up for us, please?
Sure.
Just talk about that a little bit. The search for the drugs that the kids go, this is where they go in the house?
Yes,
as
I
hold
was
that toward
saying,
the camera, please?
yes, sure. As I was saying before, these are the danger zones in your house. As we all know, even as I was raising my children, we're at a point now where we really need to address what we have in our home. If we need it, then lock it up. If we don't need it, get rid of it. Block out your name, bring it here to our drop box, or you can, the police department runs a clean out your medicine cabinet Operation Dropbox twice a year, so you could bring it on that day. Just to get them out of your house so they're not easily accessible to the teens especially. Right.
You mentioned the Dropbox. Folks, you may not be aware of it, but we have out in the lobby here a mailbox, the Dropbox, as it were, for what purpose, Karen?
Yes, so you could 24/7. It's right here in our town hall. Very, very safe. It's right next to the police department. You don't have to feel intimidated by it. You block out your name and you come and you drop it in. The DEA takes it from here. They come and they pick it up and they dispose of it properly. So you don't have to feel that you don't know what to do with it. You don't want to throw it into the garbage and possibly harm the environment.
And this is also tied in with that police officer turn in the drugs days they have a couple times a year.
Yes,
yes. Drugs in.
And the police department was very instrumental in bringing the Dropbox here.
Yeah.
They were in touch with the DEA to get it here. Not every town has it, so we were very happy, and the mayor supported the police department. So we're all working together along with the school board to try to address the issue as quickly as we can.
Okay, Karen, thank you. Addressing the issue, I understand that you have to show us a new PSA, a public service announcement. Who created this? Tell us about it.
Yes, we have at the Old Bridge Alliance, part of our structure are teens.
Right.
High school teens especially. And they actually sit on the Alliance so they could provide information to our adult members on how to address our prevention efforts here in town. So they decided, and they're in this whole prescription drug, they see it in, in their lives. Yes. So they decided to put together a PSA on how to get the word out there themselves and help their own peers.
And they created this. They did the copy, they did the acting, the camera work.
They did have help. Some are involved in the TV studio at the high school.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Some are peer leaders at the high school. Some are Teen Alliance. And they all got together and they asked for help, of course, at the TV studio. Steve Gajewski helped them out at the school, and they put together this. And also, of course, Mr. Sasso and Ms. Fazio helped support them at the school. The Alliance gets wonderful support at the school, and we're all kind of working together for the same goal.
Bottom line, what's the message of this PSA?
That they're going through it every day, and they're seeing it, and they're losing friends.
How about we take a look at it? Folks, we're going to take a look at this PSA that was created by the students at Old Bridge High School. It's about 5 minutes long, so please stay with it. It's very informative and very impactful, so please stay with it, and we'll have a look.
September 7th. Dear Diary, the first day of school wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I met this really awesome girl, Jackie. She sits next to me during English and biology. I have a really good feeling that we're going to become close friends this year. November 21st. Dear Diary, I honestly couldn't imagine my life without Jackie. We hang out all the time and tell each other absolutely everything. Even my mom refers to her as her second daughter. She's coming over soon to watch a movie and sleep over. I know we'll have fun like we always do. December 19th. Dear Diary, for some reason, Jackie and I aren't hanging out as much as we used to. She keeps ignoring my texts and calls, and I have no idea why. Every time I try to make plans with her, she always happens to be busy. I really hope I didn't do anything wrong. I would hate for anything to come between our friendship. January 2nd. Dear Diary, I guess I know why Jackie stopped hanging out with me. It looks like she found herself some new friends. It doesn't make any sense though. She's never spoken a word to any of those people because she thought they were up to no good. I don't know. I hope everything's okay with her.
Have you heard about Jackie?
No? What?
There's been rumors that she's been stealing from her friends and her parents just to buy drugs.
I haven't heard anything about this.
Listen, I'm really worried about her. Can you please talk to her?
Yeah, I'll do whatever I can.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
January 26th. Dear Diary, I finally had the opportunity to see Jackie and ask her what's been going on. It was no use. What started out as a simple question turned out into a screaming match. I didn't mean to upset her, I just want her to know how much I care. But I do know one thing for sure. This is not the same Jackie I met in September. February 2nd. Dear Diary, I have to admit I was pretty angry at Jackie because of our argument the other day, but now I'm more worried than anything else. I overheard some teacher saying she hasn't been at school for the last several days. I knew she was skipping class, but not coming at all is really out of the ordinary. Is it because of me? Was it something I said? I don't know what to do anymore. February 5th. Dear Diary, I was sitting in homeroom when the principal and guidance counselors walked into the room. As the principal started speaking, my heart sank into my stomach. I could barely make sense of what he was saying as tears fell from my eyes. What was he talking about? I was only able to make out sporadic words. Jackie, body found, overdose. This can't be real. He must have the wrong girl. This can't be happening. Not to me, not to Jackie. Please, Jackie, pick up your phone. I need you. February 7th. Dear Diary, no one should have to go through this. A couple of months ago at this time, I would be getting ready to go to Jackie's house. Instead, I'm saying goodbye to her for the last time. If only she knew how the drugs were taking over her life. If only I was a better friend. If only I could go back and change things. Jackie has no idea how many people her death impacted. I wish there was something I could have done to save her. Jackie was a sister, a daughter, and a best friend. Now, because of the drugs, she's just a memory.
Welcome back to Old Bridge Outlook with Mayor Owen Henry. You've just been viewing a PSA produced by the students of Old Bridge High School. And Karen, very impressive.
We're so proud and impressed with these teens that they are brave to stand up for such a strong cause and help their own peers by getting out there and proving that they will go out there and do something powerful for their friends.
Right. You know, Mayor, it seems to me a high level of commitment on the part of these teens.
And we need a commitment by the teens. That's who's being impacted.
Yes, sir.
You know, today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. We need a commitment from the youth here in Old Bridge that they're going to help us.
Right, and this is a good way to start.
It's exactly. They did a great job. Very proud of them.
Fantastic.
They really did. Yeah. And folks, we're going to be showing this PSA on Old Bridge Television, so you can look at it again if you haven't followed it carefully throughout this program. And Karen, if I can come back to one thing. The results of all this thing we're talking about, the abuse and so on and so forth, we've had some overdoses in the township.
Yes.
We've had some, unfortunately, some fatalities. What's the numbers
When I had
like?
mentioned before about how our admissions, our treatment admissions were up in Old Bridge because we've had, last year especially, 28 overdoses.
28 overdoses.
Last year
wow.
in 2014, we had 28 overdoses and 8 deaths.
Wow.
So, and a
That's
lot were
tragic.
young adults. So we're thinking that they're starting with prescription drugs in their late teens and then moving to a cheaper alternative with heroin as they move along. And well, now with Narcan coming into play, I had just discussed this with Captain Robert Weiss, that we've had saves this year. I think it was, Mayor and I were talking about there was 11 saves this year with the Narcan.
Okay, there were, if I can interrupt you, Karen, just for a minute, there have been 3 deaths?
Yes, as of August 30th,
August
which
30th,
is pretty new
okay,
information, there have been 18 heroin overdoses so far this year.
Wow.
So we still have the problem.
That's sad.
And we have 3 deaths, and one just 2 weeks ago.
And Narcan is what?
Narcan is an antidote for the heroin and for the opiates. It's either sprayed up to the nose, I think, or down the throat, or administered injection.
It reverses the effect.
Reverses the effects,
Really?
yes.
And it works very quickly. We call them reversals. We don't.
Yes.
They don't like to call them saves.
Yeah.
But they've. I like to think we saved 11 lives
Yes.
this year with these reversals.
Yes.
With the Narcan.
That was definitely a worthwhile invention or development of a product.
With
Huh?
the police and being trained, and it's it's scary. It's scary.
It's very scary. But to that point, Karen, you mentioned off the air, there's something called the Good Samaritan Law.
Yes,
I'd
that
never
has
heard of
gone-
it, frankly.
Yes,
what is
that
it?
has gone into effect as of the end of last year, where if you have someone, let's say, overdosing in your home,
Yeah.
one of your friends or an adult as well, not just teens, that you will be given immunity as long as you're not a drug dealer, that if you call 911 to help save your friend, that both the person that's overdosing and you as well will be given immunity. So it's a
Really?
Good Samaritan law for, make that phone call. Help your friend so they're not so afraid. It used to be they were afraid to call because they thought they would get in trouble as well. But now we want to get it out there that the Good Samaritan law is in effect. It's working. From what we think, that's why the deaths are down between the Narcan and the Good Samaritan law. We still have all the overdoses, which is the other half of the problem.
Right.
So we still have a problem here, but we're saving lives now and reversals, as the mayor was saying, with the Narcan and the Good Samaritan law. The police department thinks that's a very big component
Boy, I guess.
of why we're saving lives, because people are calling up and feeling secure that they won't get in trouble if they call up and try to help their friend.
Powerful incentive,
Yes.
Mayor, not to be prosecuted because you're doing something you shouldn't be doing.
And what hurts so much, I know at least one of those 8 deaths could have been reversed if somebody would have made the phone call.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that number would have been less last year.
Really?
Yes.
That is an incentive.
We're not downplaying that we still have a big problem, but we're saving lives, and that's first, to me, 8 mothers or 5 mothers this year didn't have to see their child die. And that to me, as a mother, you say to yourself, that's the greatest thing. Of course, we'll take care of that problem first. Let's try to save the lives and have these reversals. But at the same time, we're still addressing the problem that we have these overdoses. So,
Okay, and how about the education? You mentioned you've got a number of education programs going on, and one that particularly caught my ear was a peer-to-peer program with the teens. How is that working, Karen?
Yes, we have the Board of Education is very supportive in our efforts here in town.
Yes.
Because we're a prevention committee here. Our MAPSA program, our Municipal Alliance program, is a volunteer committee that helps to go through all this information and see where all our needs are, and they also work with the school board and the administration. So they're very supportive of our programs. So we have placed peer leadership programs in the schools, and then the schools pick up on that, and we're both helping to fund them. So it's a wonderful way of getting the education out there. So we're using the kids to help the kids.
How do you train the kids?
Well, we have peer leaders that are classes in the high school. So those peer leaders are mentoring down to the middle school. The Old Bridge Alliance, through our grant funds, we have a peer-to-peer program, which is also called Student Leadership Corps. And we train them with funding. So now the Old Bridge High School kids are coming down and mentoring our trained kids. Then those middle school kids are going down to our elementary school.
Really?
We're just starting a new program called Student Character Ambassadors, which loosely came out of the DARE and Too Good for Drugs program. To for these 5th grade kids that were empowered with Too Good for Drugs, to have a mentor at the middle school, and for the middle school to have a mentor at the high school.
And the DARE program, I'm sorry, Karen, I didn't mean to interrupt you. The DARE program lives on?
The DARE program has been renamed Too Good for Drugs. It's just a new curriculum that is a state evidence-based program. So it's just a new program, and it's called Too Good for Drugs, but we still have the DARE officers teaching it. So it's still a program, but it's just called Too Good for Drugs now.
Okay. How do all these messages resonate with the young people? How do you find it? Do they say, this is important, I'm listening, or do they say, not here, it won't happen to me, it happens to the other person?
Well, I think that maybe we've gained a little momentum in getting the word out there, especially with our Dropbox, the Mayor's Town Hall. We're really starting to get them, now we have Families Against Addiction here in town. We're trying to break down the stigma and get people educated enough to know that they can help. And if the PSA is so strong because I want the parents to see that your kids are sticking their necks out there. Come and join the Alliance. Bring to the table what you can bring to the table to help us to prevent the kids from using and, get our overdoses down.
Okay, and how about the town hall meetings? Last year you had a very successful town hall meeting. Is that planned again for this year?
Yes, in October. I'm still waiting on the speaker. I don't want to say who it is until he commits, but I'm still waiting for the speaker to get back to us. He's also an expert in the field. We're trying to bring in experts, so when we're at a loss, and we're also trying to help at the prevention and intervention level with the town hall meetings. We want to bring everyone in, not just the school and the police and helping to prevent, but we want to try to help the parents that have children that are recovering addicts. And so they can have an idea of maybe helping with their younger children to prevent and to help to gain family support for them because they need it.
Karen, what age should a child be before the parent starts talking seriously to them about alcohol abuse, drug abuse? What age?
I would say before middle school, Gene, because it usually starts in middle school. So I would say about 8, 9 years old. I mean, we're starting. We have the Footprints program in the 2nd grade. Where the Alliance is based on primary prevention. We start very, very young and getting their mindset, to turn their back and just say no, the same old
Nancy
cliche.
Reagan, Nancy Reagan.
And Nancy Reagan. And, so that was a great thing. So, and we start very young. So they have that mindset. Once they get to the Too Good for Drugs program, the DARE program, we want them to have already have heard it. So when they're really interacting before they get into the middle school, that they have these resiliency skills.
Okay, thank you. And Mayor, one last question, if I may. How can we short-circuit the supply in the township? Is there a way, and as you said, it's not a township problem, it's not a state problem, it's a national problem. It's always available out there.
Forums that I've been to where the state police are involved now, and they monitor where all these drugs come from. And Old Bridge and Middlesex County, we're at like ground zero.
Yeah.
They have an impact on the influx from New York City.
Right,
Somebody's
we're
coming
right
up from
across the
Philadelphia,
bridge, right?
You know, and so it's just the federal government needs to step up the supply coming into the country. I know we need to. Our borders need to. We're trying with a lot of things, but our borders need to be protected from the heroin influx. Also, it's coming in the containers. I mean, we read about it in the paper once a week where they're breaking open stuff and they're finding.
I know, it's just amazing.
Millions of dollars of heroin. That needs to be stepped up. But once it gets to the New York area or the Philadelphia area, it's distributed basically unabated. We read though, you know, they're making progress.
And the kids find a way to get it.
They find a way to get it. And if Old Bridge dries up a supply, there's probably 3 people waiting to come in and fill that void on supplying. So it's
just a huge education issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
as long as the demand is there, these people who, you know, the gangs and whoever's profiting from the sale of these drugs are going to continue as long as the market is there.
Right, just amazing.
And the market is here.
Yeah, when we were younger, the big problem was alcohol.
Yeah,
drugs were
I
never an issue
remember when I
we were
didn't
younger.
have a lot of heroin brochures in my office.
Right.
You know, it was always the underage drinking the pot, you know.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
now I've been inundated with prescription drugs and heroin brochures just to pass out to the public.
Well, to your point, a good cue.
Yeah.
You have this brochure.
With
Great
the
list
help
of resources.
Middlesex County,
Yes,
which that's where the Alliance grant funding comes down from, and through the state, the NCADD, which is the National Council on Alcohol and Drug Dependence, right here in East Brunswick, they work very strongly with Middlesex County Alliance coordinators to help us to get the word out there. They put together this brochure of resource directory for Middlesex County. This is going to be available in my office, in the mayor's office, in the library, here where the drop box is, at the Old Bridge Fair. So families have support if they have an issue and they think that their child is using, or you know, they see that they need help. They could have this directory, and it has up-to-date information. We get the new one every year. This is 2015. So they could get help right away. And they have gone to the mayor's office. They have come to the Alliance office, which is a great thing to mention. We did have a mom that was waiting for me outside my office 2 weeks ago. So that was such a great, you know, I hate to say great though, you know, because I wish that this mom wasn't going through this, but I just,
gratifying
the word is
probably
getting,
is a better word.
I wouldn't even say that. I'm just happy that the word is getting out there.
Yes,
with the help of the mayor's office and the police department and the Alliance. The word is getting out there so we can help and have some support from the parents, for the parents.
Okay, and you're going to be continuing to get the word out. You're going to be having a table
at
the Old Bridge
Fair.
Day.
Yes.
And what is your message going to be that day?
Well, we're going to
Pretty
promote
much what
our
we talked about.
Dropbox. I'll be giving out this card to everyone. On this card, it will tell you where our Dropbox is here or anywhere else in the county where somebody might find it, maybe near their job, to drop off their unused prescription drugs. You know, our message is to get it out of the house if you're not using it. I'll be giving out the resource directory to the parents, telling them about, you know, that there's services here, that you don't feel intimidated by the Dropbox, the mayor's office, the Alliance office. You know, we're here to help any way that, you know, we want to break down the stigma of, you know, everyone keeping it underneath the covers. We're here to help.
Fantastic. Great job, Karen. Thank you.
Jimmy.
Mayor, could I turn to you? You're a parent, and now you're a grandparent. What message would you try to deliver to other parents and grandparents about this education process, about dealing with their
children? A clear
children?
message to any parent, any guardian, any friend, anyone who has a minor, and I consider a minor in this situation anyone under the age of 26 who is more vulnerable. If you know someone, if you have someone in your family who has been prescribed prescription drugs, you need to monitor that person, especially if it's a younger person, to make sure that they only take what they need to take and that they have actually got themselves off it.
Right.
To make sure that they have not, and the PSA I think addresses that, where a young person is prescribed pain medicine and they can't get off it, and the parent wants to be a nice parent, or the guardian wants to be a nice guardian, a friend wants to be their true friend. But the message is to monitor that person and help them. Don't let them get addicted, because once you get addicted, the road ahead is very, very difficult.
Very bumpy. It
very
really
difficult to
Very
get off
bleak.
and stay off. So my message is to don't get addicted in the first place.
Right.
We know these medications play a role, in our society, but let them play the role that they were designed for, not
Good
take
point,
over
Mayor.
our lives. They were never designed to take
No.
over our lives, and they have proven that they can take over lives. They've taken over families, and that's my message. Just
Be alert.
aware.
Be alert.
Be alert.
Yeah.
And if you really love that person, you'll do what needs to get done, even if it means, intervention at a very early age.
Yeah.
And Karen said, lose that stigma. We're not going to hold it against you. No one in our society would hold it against you if you need help. Get it.
Okay. Mayor, thank you very much. And Karen, fantastic
you,
job.
Gene.
And folks, we've been treating a very important subject here, one that we should all be aware of. As Karen has said, if you have RX drugs, prescription drugs in the house, monitor them closely. If you're consuming them, if you're not consuming them any longer, get rid of them. There is a drop box here in the building here, in the administration building, in the lobby, where you can bring the drugs and drop them off. And as the mayor just concluded by saying, be alert, educate, and help people where you can so they don't get addicted in the first place. And folks, before we go, I just want to mention two things. On 9/11, Friday, September 11th, we will be having our annual ceremonies to commemorate those who lost their lives on 9/11 in 2001. It will be held in the memorial area behind the library, 6 p.m. on 9/11 Friday. Come out for that. And as Karen just mentioned, the Old Bridge Day, Old Bridge Fair is on Saturday, September 26th. We hope to see you there as well. Want to thank Karen again. Karen does a tremendous job.
Thank you.
And we're lucky to have Karen with us.
Thank you, Mayor.
And folks, this has been Old Bridge Outlook for this time. I'm Gene McLaughlin. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Take care.